What if the man who claimed to be Hollywood's biggest nightmare was actually its most successful employee? For months, a single name dominated the cultural conversation, acting as a lightning bolt of truth in an industry built on shadows. Katt Williams. After his now legendary sit-down on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe, Katt wasn't just a comedian anymore. He was a revolutionary. He was the man who had supposedly shaken the table, calling out the industry's most powerful gatekeepers and labeling the biggest stars as corporate puppets. But then, something happened that no one saw coming. A single handshake on a bright, Netflix-funded stage sent shockwaves through the internet, leaving millions to wonder. Was Katt Williams ever really fighting the system, or was he simply playing the most calculated role of his career? This is the story of a shattered image, a viral roast, and the uncomfortable question of what it truly means to sell out in 2026. To understand the weight of the current controversy, we have to go back to the moment Katt Williams became the most dangerous man in comedy. When he sat across from Shannon Sharpe, he didn't just tell jokes, he issued indictments. He positioned himself as a martyr of authenticity, a veteran who refused to wear the dresses of Hollywood or bow to the corporate machine. His primary target was Kevin Hart, the man Katt painted as the ultimate industry plant. According to Katt, Kevin's meteoric rise wasn't just hard work. It was a manufactured phenomenon, supported by executives who wanted a safe, marketable version of black comedy. For months, the public ate it up. Katt was the hero we wanted, the outsider speaking the uncomfortable truth that everyone else was too scared to whisper. He was the resistance. But that resistance met its match at the greatest roast of all time. When the lights dimmed on Kevin Hart's viral Netflix roast, the audience expected the usual suspects, but nobody expected to see Katt Williams. The moment he stepped into that arena, the narrative shifted from truth-telling to participation. This wasn't a secret underground event. It was a high-budget, corporate-sponsored media spectacle produced by the very company Katt had previously criticized for its gatekeeping. The shock wasn't just about his presence. It was about the contradiction. If Kevin Hart represents the poison of the industry, why was the antidote sitting at his table, laughing at his jokes, and taking his check? The silence from Katt's most loyal supporters was deafening as they watched their truth-teller lean into the very machine he claimed to despise. The most jarring moment of the evening came when Katt addressed the elephant in the room with a bluntness that left many unsettled. He didn't claim he was there to infiltrate or to sabotage. He openly admitted he was there for the money. While the live audience roared with laughter, the digital audience felt a sting of betrayal. In the world of high-stakes cultural criticism, admitting you can be bought by the people you despise is a death blow to credibility. Critics quickly pointed out the hypocrisy. If someone claims to be anti-establishment but continues to accept establishment opportunities and payouts, does their message still hold weight? It looked less like a rebellion and more like a rebranding, leaving many to wonder if Katt's earlier exposé was simply a clever marketing tactic to increase his own market value. This leads us to a much deeper, more uncomfortable comparison between the two comedy giants. Katt previously argued that Kevin Hart's career was a fast-tracked corporate design, yet when you look at the architecture of Katt's own success, the blueprints are surprisingly similar. Both men have benefited immensely from major streaming deals, international tours, and the massive media apparatus that dictates who becomes a household name. If the industry truly wanted to cancel or silence Katt Williams for his Club Shay Shay comments, they did a remarkably poor job of it. Instead of being pushed into the shadows, Katt became more visible than ever. He gained millions of new followers, dominated every news cycle, and was offered the biggest platforms in the world. This is not how Hollywood treats people who are actually dangerous to their bottom line. The Netflix paradox is perhaps the most difficult part of the Katt Williams story to reconcile. He once implied that Kevin Hart's cozy relationship with the streaming giant was proof of his sold-out status. Yet, Katt himself has a long history of high-value specials and partnerships with the exact same company. To some, this is just doing business, but to others, it is the definition of hypocrisy. If a partnership with a billion-dollar tech company makes Kevin a machine product, then by that same logic, Katt is a primary component of that same machine. The realization that both men are playing in the same sandbox under the same corporate rules has forced many fans to acknowledge that the beef might be more about professional theater than personal integrity. Beyond the business deals, there is the issue of the pimp persona that defined Katt's early career. While Katt has been quick to criticize other comedians for promoting stereotypes or selling their dignity for laughs, his own brand was built on an exaggerated, often controversial character. For years, he leaned into an image that many would argue is just as marketable to certain demographics as Kevin Hart's nice guy image is to others. Critics argue that Katt is guilty of the very thing he accuses others of: finding a character that works, selling it to the highest bidder, and riding that wave as long as the checks keep clearing. It raises the question, can you really call someone a sellout while you're wearing a costume designed to sell tickets? The climax of this cultural shift was the handshake heard round the world. When Kevin Hart and Katt Williams shared that stage and settled their tension with a laugh, it signaled the end of an era. For the casual viewer, it was a feel-good moment of reconciliation. But for the truth-seekers who viewed Katt as a warrior, it was a surrender. That handshake didn't just end a feud, it validated the system. It proved that in Hollywood, even the most explosive truths can be packaged, processed, and turned into a profitable entertainment moment. The man who claimed he would never bow down was seen shaking hands with the man he called a fraud, and the industry was the one holding the camera. In the aftermath of the roast, a more cynical theory has begun to take hold: the idea of strategic rebellion. In an era where audiences are increasingly skeptical of mainstream media and celebrity culture, the industry needs rebels. They need voices that appear to be fighting the system to keep the audience engaged. By allowing Katt to speak his mind and then bringing him back into the fold for a major event, Hollywood proves it can co-opt even its loudest critics. Whether Katt is a willing participant in this strategy or simply a victim of his own success is up for debate. However, the result is the same. The revolution was televised, sponsored, and streamed in 4K. Ultimately, the Katt Williams saga reveals a fundamental truth about fame in 2026. The line between authenticity and performance has been completely erased. We want to believe in heroes who will burn it all down, but we live in a world where everyone needs to pay the bills. Katt Williams is a master storyteller and a brilliant comedian, but he is also a professional. As we watch the fallout from his recent choices, we are forced to decide whether we value the message more than the messenger. Was he a truth teller trying to survive, or a performer giving us the rebel we wanted to see? The answer might not be as simple as we hoped, but after the Kevin Hart roast, one thing is certain: the mask has slipped, and Hollywood is the one laughing.